Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now, this video is sort of a bit of a reaction to the ever-changing world that we live in, to quote Paul McCartney. A lot of people nowadays are working from home and, okay, they may have a decent hi-fi system down in the main room or a separate listening room if they're lucky, but they're spending all day sat in their office and they want to have music and they've tried a Bluetooth speaker and not happy with it, so they want a proper, because they're used to the big stereo downstairs, they want something good in the office. And a lot of these rooms that are being used are what we call in the UK the box room. So you'll have 2 or 3 decent sized bedrooms in a house and then a room which is called the bedroom but isn't really big enough. So you could probably just about fit a single bed in there. So you're looking at rooms that are 7 foot by 8, that sort of dimensions. So once you put a desk in there and your laptop or whatever, there's not a lot of space for anything. So it's actually quite a difficult brief. It's, I mean, you can stick a hi-fi system in there, but you'll find that the bass will overwhelm the room or whatever. So you have to choose quite carefully. You have to find things that are happy in a small space, that are okay for listening near field. You don't have to get away from. And I've kind of settled on what's in front of us here. I mean, we're not actually talking sources at the moment because that is widely varied. I mean, there's all sorts of different things being used, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I mean, this is the main crucial bits for the fact you're in a small space. These are the important bits. Now, you could use Acoustic Energy 100. You could use Dali Oberons, but they're a small speaker, but kind of need breathing space around them. So not ideal in an office. You could use, I don't know, various things, but generally, I had something in my head then and it went out. Riga kites, they don't mind being close in, but really you need to be a bit further away from them. They're not that near fieldy, if you know what I mean. I've kind of settled on, and it's an expensive option, but I've kind of settled on it because it always works, Ophidian Minimos, because they're much smaller than things like Oberons. I mean, just to give you an idea, it's probably getting a bit of a... Looking on there, they look bigger than they are because they're closer to the camera than me. But if you put an LP next to them, that's how small they are. They're tiny, a really, really tiny speaker. And yes, David, I do actually own some Steely Dan records. It's a different conversation. But the thing with the Minimo is they're quite an expensive speaker for considering how little they are, but it's because of the amount of... They basically have to get around physics, because when you get beyond a certain size, producing any bass at all is difficult. So you have to manipulate the crossovers, drop everything down so that the bass and the mid-range and everything is linear. So they tend to be, they're quite inefficient. But in a small space, that's not really an issue because you're not going to need loads of volume. The other thing with the Ophidians is that they have a very clever sort of porting arrangement on the back, which I've shown before. This sort of Airflex, I think it's called again. Which controls the airflow very well, so they don't seem to be too worried about sitting in close to things. So you could, I have actually got customers with these sitting on the desk with little bits, little squashy feet underneath to isolate them, or some people have used pennies in the past. I used to use pennies under things. I've got a guy who's got a pair in windowsill, sort of above his desk, like that. And they work really well. I mean, the thing about the Ophidians is, whatever you do with the rest of the system, it'll just keep improving, because they've got very decent quality drivers in them. Obviously, these are £1,100, whereas a pair of kites is 400, Oberons are 400, the Acoustic Energies are 300. So you're stepping up a little bit. But the extra sort of design stuff that's going on with these pays dividends. They are so much better than what you would, the normal sort of run-of-the-mill stuff you would use in there. And I've gone with the Brio amplifier, partly because it's a bargain at the moment. I mean, this thing, it was a £700 amplifier that they've dropped to £550. Yes, it's because there's a new version coming. When's the new version coming? Who knows? It could be another year. So it's because I know they're trying to use up the excess of parts that they got in to keep the production going through COVID, and they're still using them. So I think once we get down parts-wise at Riga, the new version will come out. I mean, I know it's been designed, but it's just okay. I think it's just a timing issue, really. I think they're also working on the Apollo, which is sort of the matching CD player for it, which they dropped a while ago, and I think they might just come out together. So we'll see. That's all me surmising. That's not official, by the way. The thing with the Brio is it's got a big transformer in it. It drives really well at low volumes, and it really suits the Ophidians. I've got a few people using that combination now, and it's lovely. And mostly in sort of office situation as well. So it's quite a little magical combination that just works really well. And if ultimately you find you're not working from home anymore and you want to move this into a bigger room, it'll still work. The Ophidians actually surprisingly do work okay in bigger spaces. I mean, when you get into a much bigger room, there's probably other alternatives. Whereas if you don't have to sort of compromise because of scale, then there's other options which are probably would make suit a situation better. But in small space, there's nothing that really beats these. I've tried all sorts of different options, but the little Ophidians. The only other one that possibly is the Neat Iota, which is quite nice. I mean, I've done a bit with those, but generally these seem to just gel better somehow. So yeah, that's the recommendation. I mean, as far as sources go, I've got people using. I had a chap who bought a P2, ended up with a P6, and had a wall bracket to the side of his desk with a record player on, so he could be on his computer and just change the album like this. Because of space, just enough space for this to come down to the amplifier and feed the speakers. I've got people with Bluetooth dongles. Wash your mouth out. Streamers, even worse. And a chap who's using a little Atoll MD 100 CD player. So he's got little tiny Brio and the Atoll. I can't think how he's placing those, but it's basically sort of 2/3 width CD player with a half width amplifier and a little mini mouse. And it's great. It just sounds really, really good. And so when you're working, it's just nice. It's just something that you listen to your favourite music while you're composing an email or whatever, and it's just a great thing to do. So this is my solution to the problem that I keep being asked about. Whatever source you're using, there you go. That's the one. And and it's not the cheapest option, but I think really in this sort of situation, I wouldn't take the cheap option because it would just annoy you. The Oberons are superb, but they would not be happy sitting on a desk like these are. I mean, it's not ideal. These are better on a stand. All speakers are better on a stand. But if you really have to, then yeah, these are the ones really. Anyway, I'm going to stop it there. I forgot to bring my tea up, and I'm suffering for it. I want to get down before it goes cold. Thanks for watching. Very close to 10,000 subscribers at the moment. Very close, which I'm very grateful for. I don't deserve it. Anyway, don't forget to give a subscribe and keep those numbers coming up. And give a like, and I will see you in a future video. I'm going to try and step up the filming a little bit more now because it's got a feeling of going quiet now. So I should have a bit more time just to break off and just set something a bit more complicated up rather than just plonking a few speakers on a table. Trying to get a bit more involved again, do some more repair stuff and things like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in a future video.